From Mencari Newsroom at redmencari.com.
Good morning, this is Miko Santos with today's rundown on Australia's politics for Wednesday, May 14. Susan Lee has made history as the first woman to lead the Federal Liberal Party, winning a close leadership ballot against Angus Taylor by 29 votes to 25. Ted O'Brien was elected as deputy leader. Following the party's significant defeat in May 3rd election, Lee acknowledged the scale of loss and pledged a fresh approach to reconnect with voters.
It's a privilege to have been elected the leader of the Parliamentary Liberal Party. I am humbled, I am honoured, and I am up for the job. Ted, it's terrific to have you join me as a deputy. Here in this room, just a couple of hours ago, our colleagues placed their faith and their trust in us. And these positions are gifts of our party room. And I will always respect and value what the members of my party room tell me. I have great affection and great connection with the Liberal Party party room over a career of 25 years. And I've spent a lot of time this week talking to my colleagues, and I'm optimistic that they have the right ideas. And I'm positive about what lies ahead.
Lee committed to reviewing all party policy, including energy and climate position, promising no captain's calls, emphasizing return to the sensible center of Australian politics. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese convened his newly sworn-in ministry for the first cabinet meeting today, signaling priority for Labor's second term after their historic landslide victory on May 3rd.
An incredible honour to be elected as a Member of Parliament, but it's an even greater honour to serve in the executive of a Labor government. And it's important that we repay the faith and trust that's been placed in us on the 3rd of May. We are ahead at this point in 94 electorates. There is a possibility of a 95th. We'll wait and see as counting continues there. But what's clear is that we represent the largest caucus of Labor members in Australian history since Federation. And that's because of the discipline and focus that we showed in our first term. We had a clear plan. We set about focusing on the issues that were close to people. We understood that we governed in really difficult global economic times, and we were focused on cost of living relief whilst getting that downward pressure on inflation, whilst continuing to provide better services in health and education, dealing with the decade of neglect when it comes to climate change and the decade of neglect when it comes to building housing and increasing housing supply.
The Prime Minister emphasized the government focus on cost of living relief, reducing inflation, improving health and education services, addressing climate change, and increasingly housing supply. The Cabinet first agenda item addressed minimum wage policy, with Albanese stating Labor will always stand for improving people's wages and condition. Albanese announced he will travel to Indonesia today to meet with President, followed by a visit to Rome to represent Australia at an inaugural papal mass. On the other hand, factional tension have surfaced within Labor ranks following the reshuffle of the ministry, with former Minister Ed Husic publicly criticized his demotion. Husic, the first Muslim to serve as federal cabinet minister, claimed his view on Gaza cost him his post. He labeled Defense Minister Richard Marles as factional assassin in comment that highlighted internal party division despite Labor electoral success. Political analyst Professor Andy Marks noted that Labor openness about factional conflict differ from other parties' approach. The elevation of Anne Lee, the first female Muslim MP to ministry, is seen as an attempt to address concern within the Australian Muslim community following Husic's demotion.
I feel for Mark and I feel for Ed. I know them both personally. They're both very good people, and the way that it happened obviously wasn't ideal. But I'm a strong supporter of the factional system. That may be a controversial thing to say to many of the people watching this program today, but it works for Labor Party for a number of reasons. One, it provides stability across within the party when you organise along belief systems around the left and the right of the party rather than around personalities. That provides a certain amount of stability. And secondly, it provides appropriate representation. And I guess when I say that, when I'm talking about appropriate representation, I mean it means you have new talent coming through, or encouragements that are coming through. It means that in times past, such as the 80s, where the New South Wales branch of the ALP was extremely strong, without the factions and representation of other states, you may have had a huge number of people, from New South Wales. Every member of Parliament in New South Wales would have had a cabinet spot, whereas people in WA, South Australia and Tasmania would have been left wanting. So overwhelmingly, it is a positive thing, but I do feel for Ed and I do feel for Mark. It was a disappointing week.
That's all for today's Australian Politics Update. For more in-depth coverage and breaking news, become a paid subscriber at readmencari.com. Our premium content includes exclusive interview, analyst piece, and early access to developing stories from Parliament House. I'm Vico Santos. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Subscribe to Mencari for news with authentic Gen X perspective. Cutting through the noise with zero fluff. Available now across all podcast platforms. News without the noise, perspective without the panic.